Check out my Patreon page, James Dobinson Audiobooks, for loads more stories, including Harry Potter, David Walliams, Jacqueline Wilson, and loads more. Feel free to check it out now. Chapter 13. I hadn't really thought what I was going to wear for my birthday. I had my pink dress. I had it nearly a year, but it still fitted me perfectly, and I'd worn it so little that it looked brand new. I'd liked it last year. I'd admired the delicate pink and white striped silk, the lace collar, the full skirt. I'd twirled around and round in it, feeling like a ballet dancer. Mum had called me her little fairy and had made fairy cakes for my birthday tea. I blushed at the thought now. Mum caught me dressed up in the pink dress early in the morning, staring in the mirror in horror. I'd have given anything to have a party frock like that. You look as pretty as a princess, she said. No, I don't, Mum. I look awful, I said. It's so babyish. Don't be silly, said Mum. She gave me a hug. You're still my baby anyway. No, I'm not. 11's nearly a teenager. I struck a pose, hands on hips. Don't you start getting above yourself, Missy. I've had enough cheek from your sister to last me a lifetime, said Mum, looking over at Jodie and sighing. We'd thought Jodie was still asleep, but a hand came out from under her duvet and waggled its fingers. My dress is too small for me now, I said. No, it's not. The hem's still just on your knee, though I could let it down if you really want. It's too tight, I said, sticking my chest out as far as possible. Here, I said, pointing. Rubbish. You're flat as a pancake, said Mum. It hurts under my arms, I lied, wriggling. Where, said Mum. There's plenty of room. Can't she have a new outfit for her own birthday? Jodie mumbled, especially as you talked her into having this party. It's not exactly a proper party, it's just a little get-together, a birthday tea, said Mum. But all right, I suppose I could always get Dad to drive me into town this Saturday. I think there's a market where we might be able to buy a length of silk. Can't I have something ready-made, Mum, not a dress? Well, what, said Mum. I don't know, something more casual. You're not wearing jeans to a party. Not jeans then, but something. I looked around wildly for inspiration and saw the curtains. Something black. Don't be ridiculous, Pearl. You can't wear black at your age, said Mum. Is there any black velvet left over from the curtains, said Jodie. Well, a bit. Not enough for a dress, though, and it's summer. You can't wear black velvet in August. A skirt, a little black velvet skirt, said Jodie. She sat up, waving her hands, describing the shape in the air. And then you could wear one of my black T-shirts, Pearl. That would look cool. What do you think? Oh, yes, I said. Oh, no, said Mum, folding her arms. Jodie knelt up in bed, looking earnest. Please, make her the skirt, Mum. I'd make it, but you know I'm rubbish at sewing. Make Pearl the skirt so she can look the way she wants on her birthday. Go on, Mum. Please, 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 she said, nudging forward on her knees, turning her hands into paws and begging like a puppy. I'm not your dad. You can't get around me acting daft, said Mum, swatting at her with her tea towel. But that evening, after we were in bed, we heard her scissors snipping away and then the whir of her sewing machine. There, said Jodie happily. Are you giving me a present, Jodie? I asked. How can I give you a present? I can't just dash out to the shopping centre, can I? Aren't you even giving me a card? I said. Oh, sure, like there's a Clinton's round the corner, said Jodie. But when I woke up very early on my birthday morning, I felt paper crackling on my pillow. I rolled onto my tummy and found a beautiful homemade collage card, picturing both of us having a big hug. Jodie's hair was tufty orange wool and my hair was a whole skein of pale yellow embroidery thread, obviously nicked from Mum's sewing basket. We were both dressed in scraps of black velvet. Jodie had cut out paper shoes for us from a magazine. She had red high heels, of course, but I had them too, with spiky stilettos, almost the length of my paper leg. She'd printed at the top, to the best sister in the world on her 11th birthday. Lots of love, Jodie. She'd given me 11 kisses and an extra big one for luck. I kissed the little paper image of Jodie and then reached for the little parcel. It was a bead bracelet laid out in an arc on a piece of cardboard. She'd taken a handful of my little glass beads and threaded them into rainbow formation. Red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo and violet. At one end of the rainbow bracelet, she'd sellotaped a yellow pound coin with an arrow saying, Crock of Gold. I jumped out of my bed and dived under the duvet beside Jodie. Hey, stop rocking the bed. Mind those sharp little elbows, she grumbled, but she cuddled me close. Happy birthday, little pearly girlie. I'm not little anymore. I'm 11. I'm big, 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 I said, stretching right out. See? Feel. I'm nearly as tall as you are now. Oh, so you are. At least as tall as me. Taller. In fact, I should say you're very nearly Harley size now. My goodness, you'll make a terrifying pair. You'll be bossing me about left, right and centre. I wish, I said. What will you wish when you cut your birthday cake? Jodie asked. I don't know, I fibbed. Do you think Mum's making me a proper birthday cake then? Oh, come on. How could she resist? It'll be the full works with a piped icing message and candles, pink and white most likely, to match your dress. Not. I wish it was just going to be us at the party, I said. And Harley? Not even Harley. It was easier confiding in the dark under the duvet. I like him, and I sort of like being with him, but I always feel so shy. Shy of Harley, said Jodie. Don't you ever feel shy of anyone, Jodie? She was quiet, so quiet I thought she'd gone back to sleep. I gave her a little nudge. I'm thinking, she said. I'm mostly not a bit shy, not of boys, but guys like Jed and that Bernie, I feel a bit weird and wobbly when they look at me. Is that feeling shy? I hate that way of looking. I like it. Don't you find it scary? I like being a bit scared. It's exciting, said Jodie. We are so different, I said, nestling up to her. I used to be convinced Mum and Dad had adopted me, said Jodie. Maybe they thought they couldn't have kids, so they went along to the children's home. I'd have made a funny face at Dad and he'd have picked me, and then as soon as they'd signed all the adoption papers, Mum would have found she was pregnant after all. But it was way too late to send me back. Stop it, of course you weren't adopted. I suppose I sometimes wish I was. I'd like a totally different mum. You wouldn't ever want to swap Dad. Well, maybe. But it's not like he's really cool or exciting or important. He's just Dad. I'd like a dad who was a rock star or a Premiership footballer. Yeah, and my real mum was a groupie, say, and he doesn't even know that he's got this secret daughter. But one day he'll find out and fall for me and whisk me away. What about me? He'll whisk you too. No, he wouldn't. Not if we weren't real sisters. We're always real sisters, you and me, said Jodie. I'll always love you best and you'll always love me best, right? Couldn't be righter, I said. Then Mum and Dad came in singing happy birthday, with presents wrapped in silver paper tied with white ribbon. I stroked them gently and fingered the ribbon. Jodie started prodding and squeezing them until Mum slapped her hand away. Get off, they're not your presents, Jodie. Let Pearl open her own presents in peace. Well, hurry up, Pearl. You always take such an age. You'll be 12 before you've opened the presents for your 11th birthday. There was a little oblong package from Dad that I hoped might be a mobile phone, though there wasn't really anyone I wanted to ring. It wasn't a phone at all. It was a leather jewellery box containing a string of pearls. I cupped the pale little beads in my hands. They seemed the sort of jewellery old ladies wore. Dad was looking at me anxiously. I tried very hard to look thrilled. Oh, wow, Dad, thank you so much. Real pearls, I said. Well, they're not real, of course, but they're good imitation, said Dad. Do you really like them, pet? I so wanted to give my Pearl her very own pearls. Your mum wanted to wait till you were a bit older. Still, she's determined to grow up as soon as possible, said Mum. She tugged one of my nighttime plaits. Though, bless you, Pearl, you look about 6 years old right this minute. Mum gave me a fluffy pink toy poodle, a bottle of rose toilet water, and a big jar of those bubble bath. There was just one parcel left. I opened it up carefully, my hand shaking a little. There was Jodie's black t-shirt, washed and ironed, with a new black velvet trim around the neck and sleeves. Underneath, there was a black velvet skirt, very short, made in ruffled layers. Oh, I said, trembling. I didn't have a proper pattern. I had to make it up and hope for the best, said Mum. Try it on then, Pearl. Let's hope it fits. I pulled the skirt on, under my nightie. It fitted perfectly. Hold up your nightie and let's see. Oh dear, it's much too short. No, it isn't, Mum. It's perfect, said Jodie. Give us a twirl, Pearl. You look fantastic, like you're going out clubbing. I ran to the mirror and stared at myself. The skirt really did look wonderful. Oh, Mum, thank you. It's the best birthday present ever, I said, dancing around the room. Don't talk such nonsense. Think of all the lovely expensive presents I've given you in the past. This is just a tacky little length of velvet, said Mum. But she looked pleased even so. The party was due to start at 4 o'clock. Mum served a very small lunch, tomato soup and sandwiches, so that we could eat a big birthday tea. I want a big birthday lunch, said Zeph. I'm still starving. I don't want to go to your silly old birthday party, Pearl. I've got to have another bath and change my clothes, Undy says. I wish I wasn't having a party too, I said. I had only managed 2 spoonfuls of soup, even though tomato was my favourite. I suddenly felt so worried about this wretched party. What were we going to do from 4 o'clock to 6:30? We couldn't eat tea for 2.5 hours. You'll play party games, silly, said Mum. What sort of games? Blind man's buff? And squeak, piggy squeak, said Mum, saying the words softly as if they were magic spells. They're party games. How do we play them? I don't know. I never got invited to any parties when I was a little girl because I came from such a hopeless family. My brothers were forever nicking stuff right from when they were little and always fighting, and my sister was a nightmare. I don't blame those mothers for steering well clear of us. But I had this reading book, and the children had a party and played those games, said Mum. I'm sure you can make them up. Now don't bother me, dear. I've still got such a lot to do. Don't come in the kitchen. I don't want you to see your cake. Do you know how to play blind man's buff, Jodie? I asked. Of course not. No one plays those weird old games at parties anymore. Little kids have themed parties, swimming or football, and big kids have a ride in a limo and meals at Pizza Express. So what will we do? I asked. We'll invent our own party games, Pearl, said Harley. Don't worry. I was mostly worried about him. I didn't want him to be bored. I knew he wasn't a party person any more than I was. I'll make some up for you, said Harley. I'll make some up too, said Jodie. Hey, how come you haven't got Pearl a birthday card, Harley? She was really hoping you'd make her one, seeing as you're meant to be so dead artistic. No, I wasn't, I said, going red. Shut up, Jodie. We're making you cards, said Dan. Shh, Undy says it's a surprise, said Sakura. Mine's gone all splotchy, said Zeph. It's a total rubbish card. I'm sure it's lovely, I said. It was all such an effort. I wanted to slope off by myself and hide until it was party time, but I couldn't even do that. Mr. Wilberforce came striding down from the top table and gave me a box of chocolate truffles. These are for you, birthday girl. Ooh, how lovely of you, Mr. Wilberforce. Pearl, what do you say? Mum hissed. Thank you very much, I gabbled obediently, though I didn't really like truffles. You're very welcome, my dear. Now, Mrs. Wilberforce has a little something she wishes to give you too. Run along to my house and see what it is. If you go straight away, you'll catch her before her afternoon nap. Chapter 14. I asked Harley if he'd go with me to see Mrs. Wilberforce. Then you could look at her books. I'm sure she'd let you borrow some yourself, I said. No, I've got things to do. Party games to plan, said Harley. I turned to Jodie and started begging her in turn. No way. I wouldn't even if you asked me first. I've got things to do too, she said huffily. Go on, you go. You're the one she wants to see. I nudged up close to Jodie. I'm scared, I whispered in her ear. Look, you're 11 now, she said. Don't be such a baby. I thought about taking one of the little ones, but Miss Ponsonby said they all had to go with her. I was on my own. I fetched the copy of The Secret Garden. I'd enjoyed it so much I'd read it all over again. Jodie had flicked through it, keen to pick up any gardening tips to impress Jed. She tossed it to one side after 20 minutes, wrinkling her nose. I can't think what you see in it, Pearl. It's written all weird and old-fashioned, and it's such a waste. There's this huge creepy house and mysterious crying at night, and you think something really scary is going to happen. But it's just this little invalid boy, and he doesn't even die to make a good weepy bit. He gets better. How tame is that? And the gardening bits aren't much cop either. I hugged The Secret Garden to my chest now, protecting it from Jodie's scorn. I played I was Mary talking to Dixon as I walked along the path. The robin came and perched on my shoulder, and I carried the lamb in my arms. Dickon led me to a grassy bank, and we sat down beside a badger set, waiting patiently. Dickon played a tune on his pipe, and the badgers all came running, big ones, small ones, tiny baby cubs, all playing about our feet. I wanted to stay lost in my imaginary world, but I was already outside the bungalow. I gripped my book, looking at the window. I couldn't see any sign of Mrs. Wilberforce. Maybe I could tell a little fib. Pretend I'd knocked, but could not get any answer. I dawdled on the path. Maybe she was taking her afternoon nap already. Surely it would be rude to disturb her. The curtains twitched. I blinked anxiously at the window. I couldn't see her, but perhaps she was behind the curtains peering out at me. I wanted to run away. But how would that make her feel? How awful if she thought I was like the little kids, scared because she was in a wheelchair. She wouldn't understand I was so stupidly shy that I was scared of everyone. But I was 11 now. Jodie was right. I wasn't a baby anymore. I took a deep breath, opened the gate and marched up the driveway to the bungalow. I rang the doorbell, pressing it firmly so it rang loud and clear. I waited, my heart beating fast. Then the door slowly opened and there was Mrs. Wilberforce smiling at me. Hello, Pearl. Happy birthday. Thank you, I said. You look much older today, she said. I wish. It's funny, I always looked young for my age when I was a child. I used to get so cross about it, and yet now I'd give anything to look younger. She fingered a strand of her long wavy hair. In the daylight I saw that it was snowy white, not blonde at all. I think you look quite young, I said, though the deep lines on her face made her look ancient. She'd covered her pale cheeks with rouge and dabbed powder everywhere and painted her lips bright pink. The colour had started to run up all the little creases around her lips. She shook her head at me sadly. My hair went white overnight when I had the accident, she said. She manoeuvred her wheelchair down the wide hallway and into her library. I took a deep breath. The accident, I repeated in a tiny voice. Yes, Pearl, she said, when I fell and broke my neck. She looked down at her lifeless legs under her long dress. When you fell, I whispered. In the tower, said Mrs. Wilberforce. She looked at me. Surely someone's told you. Well, I sort of heard stuff, but I didn't know whether it was true, I said. I didn't know whether to believe it. It's true, all right, she said. I didn't know whether to believe it either. I still don't sometimes. I wake up and just for a moment I've forgotten, and I think I can swing my legs out of bed and jump up, and then I try to move. Her eyes filled with tears. I'm so sorry, I said, feeling terrible. No, I'm sorry. What am I doing? Getting maudlin after all these years? And on your birthday too. I have a present for you, Pearl. She handed me an oblong parcel carefully wrapped in swirly marbled paper and tied with a lopsided bow. I thought of the care she must have taken to wrap the present one-handed, tucking the ends of the paper in, maybe tying the ribbon with her teeth. I wanted to cry too. I took the present, forgetting to say thank you. I was trying desperately to think of something positive to say. Still, at least you didn't get killed when you fell out of the tower. It's such a long way down. It's amazing that you survived. She stared at me. I didn't fall out of the tower. Dear goodness, no one could survive that. I'd have been smashed to pieces on the forecourt. But didn't you get tangled up in the ivy, I said. Jodie said, No. Your sister Jodie's got a very gothic imagination. I fell inside the tower, down the steps. I used to love to go up to the tower room. It was my own private study. I had it as my bedroom when I was a little girl. It was a little cramped and uncomfortable and always very cold, and I had to go up and up all those winding stairs. But I thought it was worth it to have a special room, like something in a fairy tale. I'd love it too, I said. I'd go up there most nights, even after I was grown up. I kept some of my favourite books up there. Sometimes I just stood at the window, looking out at the moonlit countryside. Then one night, I lost track of time, and then I heard Harold, Mr. Wilberforce, calling me. I hurried downstairs, just that little bit too quickly. I'd hurtled down those narrow little steps thousands of times, but this time I slipped. I tried to grab hold of the banister, but it broke away and I fell. That's my fairy story, where everything ends unhappily ever after. I stood shifting uncomfortably from one foot to the other, wishing I knew what to say. I felt my face going red. I'm sorry. Let's forget all about me. This is your special day. Come on, dear. Open your present. I started carefully undoing the paper. I could feel it was a book. I wondered which one she'd picked out for me. I let the wrapping paper sliver to the floor and held it in my hands. It was beautiful, with a greeny blue marbled cover and an olive leather spine and corners. I stroked it in awe and then opened it up. There was a blank page. I turned it over. Another blank page. And then another. And another. I looked at Mrs. Wilberforce. Where's the story? I asked timidly. It's going to be your story, Pearl. It's a manuscript book for your own stories. I bought it years ago in Italy, but I could never think of anything to put in it. I wondered about keeping a journal, but what would I write now? Every entry would be identical. Got up, sat in my wheelchair, read, went to bed. I struggled. I could maybe push your wheelchair, Mrs. Wilberforce, and take you for walks. Oh, darling, that's a very sweet offer, but I'm far too heavy for a little girl like you. Well, my sister Jodie could push you. Maybe not. But thank you for the offer all the same. Thank you for the lovely writing book. Feel free to borrow lots more storybooks. Did you enjoy The Secret Garden? It was wonderful. I read it twice, I said, slotting it back in its place on the shelf. Are you tempted to find a secret garden of your own? Harold, Mr. Wilberforce, could give you your own little plot. I'm not very good at growing things. We grew hyacinths at my last school, but mine went all wonky. It's Jodie who's really interested in gardening, I said. No, I think Jodie is more interested in Jed the gardener, said Mrs. Wilberforce. I blinked at her. She might be stuck indoors in her wheelchair, but she didn't miss much. Did you try and count the rooms in Melchester to see if it measured up to Misselthwaite? She asked. I swallowed, pretending to be looking at the books on the shelf, not wanting to look at her in the eye. I tried counting some of the rooms, I said. But not all of them? Well, we're not allowed on the top floor, I said. Very wise. There's nothing very interesting up there as far as I can remember. Flotsam and Jetsam from former lives. Flotsam? Jetsam? I thought hard. Are they the names of the monkeys? Then I clapped my hand over my mouth. She looked hard at me, the lipstick corners of her mouth twitching. I thought she might shout at me, but she smiled instead. So, you have been thorough in your counting, she said. I'm sorry. I know we're not allowed. We just had a little tiny explore, I said. We, said Mrs. Wilberforce. I blushed. I was terrified of getting Harley into trouble. It wasn't anyone's fault, I said quickly. You and doubtless Jodie just happened to find yourselves wandering on the top floor, idly walking straight through the cupboard that I believe blocks the way, said Mrs. Wilberforce, but she didn't sound too cross. I'm so sorry, I said. We didn't do any harm. We just peeped into the rooms. We didn't touch anything. Well, if we did, we put it back. We didn't break anything, I promise. I'm more worried about you getting broken, said Mrs. Wilberforce. I'm not at all sure about those creaky old floorboards. Poor old Melchester is gently rotting away right down to its foundations. She suddenly looked alarmed. You didn't go up in the tower, did you? No. You're sure, Pearl? Yes, honestly. We wanted to, but it's all locked up and there isn't any key. Good. You mustn't ever go up there. It's far too dangerous. That door must always be kept locked. I don't really want you making a habit of wandering in and out of the attics either. Still, you seem a careful, cautious child. She smiled at me. So you found my old monkey family. I'd totally forgotten them. I made them all special outfits. A little red jacket and dungarees, and a long baby gown, and a frilly dress with a pinafore, I said softly. Yes, my dear old monkeys. Fancy them lying there all these years. Maybe you could fetch them for me. I'd love to see them again. Of course I can. She saw me hesitating. What is it? Well, they've got a bit broken, I said. We didn't do it, I promise. It's their rubber bits. They've kind of rotted away. The man monkey's feet have fallen off and the baby's lost most of her face. Oh God, I couldn't bear to see them. We'll leave them where they are. R.I.P. rotting in peace. The costumes aren't rotting. What costumes? Coats and hats and fur things. She didn't look very interested. And a special dress, I said. Special? It's on one of those dummy things. It's not quite finished. It's white and very beautiful. I think it was going to be a wedding dress. My wedding dress, she said. It was going to have a long lace train. I was going to sweep down the aisle with little bridesmaids holding up my train. But then the accident happened and I wasn't up to sweeping anywhere. I wanted to call it all off. It wasn't fair on Harold when I was hopelessly crippled. But he wouldn't hear of it. We were married very quietly 6 months later, when I was able to use a wheelchair. We lived in the main building at first, but I found it very unsettling, being confined to the ground floor. There was no way we could adapt everything to be suitable for an invalid. It seemed easier to have the bungalow built, custom made for me. She looked around the room, her expression bleak. It's lovely here, I said politely. No, it's not. It's hideous. I hate it here, but that doesn't matter. I'd hate anywhere now. She put her head on one side. Hark at me moaning again. I should learn to count my blessings. Play the glad game like Pollyanna. Have you read that book? It always sets my teeth on edge. Likewise, saintly cousin Helen in What Katie Did. Still, I love Katie herself, especially before her accident. I blinked at her, confused. You haven't read What Katie Did? Oh, Pearl, call yourself a bookworm. Let's find my copy. She wheeled herself rapidly around the shelves until she found it. There, read it and tell me what you think. Call round any time. She raised her eyebrows. I'm always in. I thanked her again for my birthday present and then ran off, clutching both books. I had to get ready for the party, but I peeped at the Badger set on the way. I imagine the whole family of Badgers got up in their best black and white party clothes, ready to wave their paws in a festive fashion and grunt, "Happy birthday!" I imagined them so vividly I felt disappointed when there were no badgers in sight, not so much as a nose or a claw. I crept right up close to the set and tried to peer into the hole, but I couldn't see anything at all, just dark earth. I got my hands and knees muddy crouching there. What on earth have you been up to? Said Mum, when I got back home. For pity's sake, you'd better jump straight in the bath. I don't know. You're a great girl of 11 now, and yet you're obviously been grubbing around making mud pies. I hope you haven't got Mrs. Wilberforce's books all over muddy fingerprints. Has she lent you two this time? One of them is my birthday present, I said, showing Mum. It's for me to write in. Are you sure? It's a beautiful book, much too grand for you to scribble your stories in. I'm going to keep a journal, I said. Oh my, said Mum, laughing at me. Anyway, you go and run a bath and see what your sister's up to. She's been holed up in that bedroom for ages. Go away, said Jodie, when I went in our bedroom. I'm inventing surprise birthday games. Clear off, Pearlie. I went off to have my bath, filling it with my new rose bubble bath. While the taps were running, I sat on the edge of the bath and started writing my journal there and then, worried that Mum might confiscate my book until I was older. It was a bit scary, starting the first beautiful pale cream page. I wrote lightly in pencil so that I could rub it out if I made a mistake. My name is Pearl. I'm 11 years old today. I'm going to have a birthday party. My sister Jodie and my friend Harley are in charge of the games. I'm not sure I like games, but I suppose you have to play them at parties. Then I closed the book carefully, put it right on the other side of the room so it couldn't possibly get splashed, and jumped in my bath. I lay back in my rosy bubbles, swishing myself backwards and forwards, watching my pale skin glow pink with the heat. Jodie put her head around the door, sniffing elaborately. I smell a rosy-posy pong. Birthday princess? Want me to shampoo your hair? I sat up and she soaped my hair, massaging my scalp with her hard little fingers. She experimented with different hairstyles when it was stiff with soap suds, twirling it around and sculpting it into place. But when I'd rinsed and dried it, I decided to let it hang down loose. No, it's too little girly, said Jodie. I'll pin it up properly for you. I like it loose, I said. It felt soft and comforting around my shoulders, like a curtain I could hide behind. Jodie wanted to put makeup on me, but I wasn't sure about that either. I'd experimented myself, but I just looked like a little kid playing with face paints. Jodie smeared some shimmery stuff on my eyelids and outlined my mouth with pale pink. There, Very pretty. Only watch out. If we see pink smears all over Harley's face, we'll know you've been kissing him, she said. I'm not going to kiss Harley, I said, blushing. Just wait till he sees you in your birthday outfit. He'll be overcome with passion, said Jodie, snorting with laughter. Shut up, you idiot, I said, trying to stick my nose in the air and act dignified. Only I got the giggles too. I pulled on Jodie's black t-shirt and my new black velvet skirt. They looked fantastic. I put my long string of pearls around my neck and my rainbow bracelet round my wrist. There. You look lovely, said Jodie. Really? Yeah, but not quite as absolutely stunningly lovely as me. She struck an attitude and then did a little tap dance in her high heels. Mum dressed up too, changing from her checked trousers and white top into her best blue dress, with the low neck and the tight patent belt, and she even wore her own high heels. We were so used to her impractical work clothes that she seemed like a glamorous stranger. You look so pretty, Mum, I said. Don't talk nonsense, said Mum, but she looked pleased. It's not nonsense at all, said Dad. You're as pretty as a picture. So are you, birthday girl, and you too, Jodie pet. My 3 best girls, all of them little crackers. Then you'd better measure up, Joe. You can't come to Pearl's party in your work clothes. Get changed quick. Best shirt and wear a tie. Oh, come on, Shaz, it's only a party for the little uns. Sharon, Mr. Wilberforce will probably look in and Miss Ponsonby and that Frenchie all sticking their noses in. Do we have to have them too? I asked, horrified. If they're coming, then I can't see why Jed can't come, said Jodie. I bet he's good at all sorts of games. Stop that silly talk, Jodie. The others will just be there for the birthday tea. I dare say they'll all clear off afterwards while you're all playing. Mum looked at her watch. Right, Pearl, you better go into the dining hall. Your guests will be arriving soon. My stomach clenched. Oh, Mum, I don't want to. I don't know what to say to them. I don't want this party. Please, can't I just stay here till it's over? I begged. Don't be so silly, said Mum. Of course you have to go to your own party. You'll have a lovely time, Pet. You'll see, said Dad. Jodie put her arm around me. I'll come with you, Pearl. It's okay. I'll look after you. You're going to have a great time. I promise you. Chapter 15. I clung to Jodie gratefully. We walked down the corridor, through the kitchen and into the dining room. I stood still, my heart thumping. Mum and Dad had put up a banner saying, Happy Birthday, Pearl. There were pink and white balloons taped to either end of the long table. The party food was laid out on pink plates. It was old-fashioned storybook party food. Tiny sandwiches, sausages on sticks, fairy cakes, gleaming red and green jellies, a big bowl of creamy trifles studded with cherries. Ah, bless, said Jodie, snatching up a sandwich and several sausages. We're not supposed to eat anything yet, I said. It's your party. You can eat your own food when you want, said Jodie, dipping her finger in the trifle and having a big lick of cream. Yum! Try a bit. I don't actually feel like eating. I feel sick, I said. You are so weird, said Jodie. Are you shivering? She briskly rubbed the goose pimples on my arms. There, let's warm you up a bit. Wait till you've played some of my party games. You'll be warm as toast then. I really don't want to play party games, I said. But then Harley came striding into the dining room, looking astonishing. He was wearing a bizarre black felt wizard's hat, the plum silk smoking jacket from the attics upstairs, and his own 2 short jeans, showing his socks, one scarlet and one canary yellow. Good God, it's a clown, said Jodie. Harley ignored her, took off his wizard's hat with a flourish and bowed low. Happy birthday, Pearl. I am Harley, purveyor of excellent, instructive and original party games. This is my magical wizard's hat, and lo and behold, here is your birthday present lurking inside. He held the hat out to me. I felt inside the silk lining and found a long, narrow package, tied up in brown paper and string. Fancy party packaging, said Jodie. I undid the string, unwrapped the paper and found a long black object inside. What is it? Said Jodie. I flicked the switch and it lit up. A torch. Well, that's a weird present. Why on earth would Pearl want a torch? Said Jodie. I think it's a wonderful present. Thank you, Harley, I said. If you should ever find yourself out in the dark for any reason, hope the torch will come in handy, said Harley. Oh yeah, that's so likely, said Jodie. Look, I've got all the party games sussed out, Harley. Miss Ponsonby seemed to think she was in charge of party games. She was carrying a big basket when she brought Zeph and Sakura and Dan to the dining hall. They were wrapped packages for prizes, a blindfold and a big painting of a donkey with a separate droopy wool tail. I painted the donkey's bottom, said Zeph. They'd all painted me cards too. Zeph had daubed me another donkey eating an enormous orange carrot. He had a speech bubble saying, hee-haw, happy birthday. It says, hee-haw, you know, like a donkey, said Zeph. He was still damp from a scrubbing in the bath, but his hands were still ghostly grey with paint. He wore a white t-shirt, red shorts and red strappy sandals. He also wore a tartan bow tie on a piece of elastic. He kept snapping it proudly. Sakura had written her happy birthday in lettering so little I could barely read it. She'd drawn me a delicate picture of tiny things. Butterflies, rabbits, kittens, dolls, necklaces, fans, small smiley suns. She pointed to each object with her finger, explaining them. She looked beautiful in her Japanese costume. She even had a flower clipped above her hair. Surprisingly, Dan wore flowers too, a long daisy chain around his neck like a garland. He had a daisy chain bracelet and even a daisy chain anklet. His transparent man had his own daisy chain dangling down past his visible abdomen. I've learned how to make daisy chains, he said, unnecessarily. I'll make you one for your birthday if you like, Pearl. That would be lovely, Dan, but I've already got my new necklace and my new bracelet. But thank you, your daisy chains look lovely on you. He did look very cute, especially as the flowers looked so incongruous with his blue and white striped dungarees. He'd drawn a picture of himself on his card, his blue stripes added so enthusiastically that he'd poked several holes in the paper. He'd drawn daisies at each corner and a carefully crayoned message. Happy birthday, Pearl. Undie said I've spelled it wrong. She said I should have waited and asked her, said Dan. I like it spelled just the way it is, I said. It's a lovely card. Thank you for all your lovely cards. Can we start eating now, said Zeph, eyeing the table. We're going to play a few party games first, said Jodie. Oh yes, we've got to pin the tail on my donkey, said Zeph, clapping his stained hands. I've got much better games, said Jodie. Take your pick, ghosts or murder or the deadly dare game. Maybe we'll play your games after tea, Jodie, said Dad, hurrying into the dining room in his best blue shirt and grey trousers. We don't want the little ones getting so overexcited they can't eat their tea. So we played Miss Ponsonby's traditional party games first. We all took it in turns to be blindfolded and pin the tail on the donkey. The three little ones tried hard, all of them managing to locate the donkey's big bottom. I could have placed the tail in a perfect position, but I stuck it on the donkey's back so that one of the little ones could win. Jodie and Harley didn't take the game seriously either. Harley stuck the tail behind the donkey's ear so that he looked as if he'd grown a plait. Jodie stuck the tail underneath the donkey, between its legs, so that it stuck out suggestively. Zeph and Sakura and Dan collapsed with laughter. Miss Ponsonby sighed. Now then, Jodie, play the game properly, said Dad, giving her a nudge. I am, said Jodie. If you can call it a game. Now what happens? That's it, said Miss Ponsonby huffily. Dan's the winner. I want to be the winner, said Zeph. It's my donkey. I painted it. No, look, I'm the closest. I'm the winner, Dan shouted excitedly. He leapt up and down, his daisy chains bouncing on his chest. It's not fair, though. I pinned the tail on the donkey's bottom too, Zeph said, clenching his fists. I really, really, really want to be the winner, said Dan, his face crumpling. I think you're the one getting the children overexcited, Miss Ponsonby, said Jodie. I think we'd better have a donkey race to decide who's the winner, said Harley. OK, I'll be your donkey. Dan, jump up on my back. Zeph, you have Jodie. And Sakura, you have Pearl. OK, folks? Donkey derby time. Harley lined us up. And then, when he shouted carrot, we had to gallop the length of the dining room, he hawing at the top of our voices. It was so ridiculous that Harley and Jodie and I could barely stagger for laughing, let alone gallop. Jodie fell off her red heels and collapsed in a heap with Zeph. Harley ran on ahead, on his great long legs, but Dan dropped his transparent man and insisted they go back to retrieve it. So I galloped past them, light little Sakura on my back, and we won. Miss Ponsonby gave us both a prize, a little bar of chocolate. I want some chocolate too, because I was the real winner, said Zeph. I think you'll win the next game, said Harley. You've all got a chance of winning. It's past the parcel, said Miss Ponsonby. Sit down cross-legged on the floor. Ooh, I'm beside myself with excitement, said Jodie, but she sat down willingly enough, though her skirt was way too tight and short for her to cross her legs decently. Dad had his old CD player plugged in, and we started solemnly passing the parcel around and around our circle while ABBA sang Dancing Queen. Each time Dad stopped the music, the person holding the parcel had to prise off the sellotape and rip away the paper. Jodie got bored and stood up and started jiggling around to the music as she passed the parcel. Zeph and Sakura and Dan copied her, jumping up and down. Harley stood up too and started doing a weird dance himself, thrusting his arms in the air and kicking his legs out sideways. So I stood up too and bounced a little. It was suddenly becoming the funniest game ever. Miss Ponsonby frowned at the dancing to start with, but actually joined in herself. Even Dad did a little twirl every time he started playing the track all over again. Mum was darting in and out with more sandwiches and jugs of orange squash. She looked startled to see us all dancing, but when she realised it was a proper party game, she twitched her hips and did a little step-tap routine as she dashed to and fro. Sakura was the last one holding the parcel. Now reduced to a tiny matchbox, it was crammed with little heart-shaped red sweets. That's not fair. Sakura won the last game, Zeph wailed. Hand your sweets round, Sakura. That's fair, said Dan. I don't want to hand them round. They're too pretty. I want to keep them, said Sakura, snapping them shut in the matchbox. We gave the boys our chocolate bars to shut them up. Then we played musical statues to more ABBA, all of us leaping about crazily, circling each table. Zeph hovered beside the tea table, his hand darting out every now and then. Now, Zeph, don't you dare touch until it's properly tea time, said Miss Ponsonby. Yes, naughty, said Jodie, whirling past, but her hand darted out too, and she secretly fed him several sausages. Mr. Wilberforce and Miss French came strolling in, and we all froze, even though ABBA went on singing, Knowing me, knowing you. Ah, Mr. Wilberforce sang, and he joined in jumping. Miss French jumped too, though she really needed a sports bra if she was going to leap so energetically. Then Dad stopped the music, and we all froze into statues. Miss Ponsonby judged who moved first. She kindly ignored Zeph's wobbles and Dan's wriggles, trying to catch Sakura out, as she'd won all the games so far. But Sakura was a brilliant statue, standing absolutely still, scarcely even blinking. The boys tickled her, but she still didn't move a muscle. She was better than any of us, even Mr. Wilberforce. She ended up with her third prize, a tiny thumb-sized white statue of a cherub. You can play he's a baby and make him a little cot out of the matchbox, I said. My, all that dancing has given me a raging thirst, said Mr. Wilberforce, mopping his brow with a big hanky. Do you think I could pour myself a glass of squash? I've put the kettle on for a nice pot of Earl Grey for the grown-ups, said Mum. It'll be ready in 2 ticks, and then we can start on the birthday tea. Pearl, dear, you sit in the middle of the bench as it's your party. I sat down with Jodie on one side of me and Harley on the other. Zeph and Sakura and Dan sat opposite. Zeph reached out both hands and grabbed a fairy cake in each. No, Zeph, wait, Miss Ponsonby hissed. What are we waiting for, said Zeph. I want my cakes. We're waiting for another cake, said Jodie. Mum came back into the dining room proudly carrying a big birthday cake on her best pink glass plate. The cake was covered in white icing with Happy Birthday Pearl in swirly pink letters, and a pattern of pink and silver balls and little rosebuds. But Mum had tied a black velvet ribbon around the cake as decoration. She set it in front of me and lit the candles, and then started singing, with Dad conducting. Happy birthday to you. Jodie and Harley joined in. Zeph and Sakura and Dan sang too. Mr. Wilberforce and Miss French sang, his voice very deep and hers very high and warbling. I sat still, my heart thumping, hating all the attention and worried that I wouldn't be able to blow the candles out in one go. I took a deep breath and blew hard and then closed my eyes to make a wish. I wish Harley and I could see a badger again. Why have you got your eyes closed, Pearl? Said Dan. Shh, she's making a wish, said Jodie. She can't tell you or it won't come true. Oh, go on, tell, said Zeph. She can't. I know, but I know everything, said Jodie. She smiled at me. She thought I'd wished my usual wish. I wished Jodie and I stay best friends sisters forever and ever. I smiled back, but my heart was thumping. She didn't know everything about me nowadays. I couldn't help feeling guilty that I'd used my wish on Harley. I argued inside my head that I didn't need to say the sister wish because, of course, we'd stay best friends forever anyway, no matter what. Can I have a wish, said Zeph. I wish it's time to eat. Okay, son, tuck in, said Dad, helping him to sandwiches and then passing the plates to the grown-ups. They stood around snacking on sandwiches and slices of birthday cake while we sat and ate, unsupervised. Zeph was in seventh heaven, steadily lobbing cakes, sausages and sandwiches into his mouth. Dan ate more cautiously, peeling back the bread to examine the contents of every sandwich and then cutting off small square portions for his transparent man. Sakura concentrated on her slice of birthday cake, delicately nibbling the icing, sucking each silver ball and licking the buttercream. Harley and Jodie ate steadily, both talking to me at once. I tried to keep track of each conversation and nodded at appropriate moments, feeling as if I was at a tennis match. Eat up, birthday girl, said Mum, darting over to pour more orange squash. Do you like the cake, darling? It's lovely. There, and you're enjoying your party, aren't you? I knew you'd have fun playing all the party games, said Mum happily. There were more games after tea, but these were more of a trial. Mr. Wilberforce and Miss French wandered off and Miss Ponsonby went into the kitchen with Mum, discussing cake recipes. Dad was left in charge. He bounced up and down wearing his jolly face, suggesting a game of musical bumps. Please, Dad, Zeph and Dan have just stuffed themselves silly. They'll be sick if they start jumping up and down, said Jodie. No, we'll play one of my games now, the Deadly Dare game, okay? Pearl, it's your birthday, so you have to go first. Who's got a dare for Pearl? You have to be willing to do the dare yourself if Pearl can't or won't, and then she has to take off an item of clothing. What? I said. This sounds a really intellectually challenging game, said Harley. You shut up. Right, Pearl, I dare you to kiss the boy you like best in the room, said Jodie. Jodie, I'm not doing that, I said. No, yuck, don't kiss me. I hate kisses, said Zeph. No one in their right mind would kiss you. You've got half your tea all around your face, said Jodie scathingly. Come on, Pearl, get kissing. I looked wildly around the room. My eyes swiveled past Harley. I didn't dare kiss him. I'll do the forfeit, I said, and I took off a shoe. Okay, I'll do it, said Jodie. She sauntered towards Harley, tapping her high-heeled shoes. He folded his arms defensively, one eyebrow raised. Jodie stood in front of him, lips in a pout. But then she veered around him and skittered across the floor to Dad. He was squatting down, sorting through his CD collection. She gave him a smacking kiss on the cheek, taking him so by surprise that he keeled over onto his bottom. Hey, why the sudden affection, he said, grinning at Jodie. Well, you're a lovely old dad, said Jodie. Your dad isn't a boy, said Dan. That's cheating, Jodie. No, it's not. It's my game and I make up the rules, and it's only cheating if I say so, said Jodie. Okay, Dan, it's your turn next. Dare someone. I dare Pearl to stand on her head, said Dan. That's not fair, choosing me again, I said. It's your birthday, Pearl. Of course we all want to pick you, said Jodie. Come on, stand on your head. No, I said. You can do it, said Jodie. I can do it, said Dan. My man can do it too. Watch. No, wait, give Pearl a chance, said Jodie. She gave me a nudge. Go on, you can stand on your head, easy peasy. Of course I could stand on my head, but I was wearing my new short velvet skirt. The ruffles would flap upwards and show everyone my white knickers. I didn't mind about Jodie, of course. I didn't even mind too much about Zeph and Sakura and Dan, though they'd giggle, but I minded terribly about Harley. I'm not going to stand on my head, I said, and I took my other shoe off. Dad looked up from his CDs. This seems a bit of a silly game, he said. No, it's not, Dad. It's a great game. If Pearl would just play it properly, said Jodie. Come on then, Dan. Stand on your head. Dan put his head on the floor and waggled his fat little legs in the air. That's rubbish, said Zeph. Look at me. He did a better headstand and kicked his legs in triumph. Too triumphantly. He fell over with a thump. Now look, said Dad, running to him. I said this was a silly game. No, it's not. I like this game, said Zeph, bouncing up again. I like standing on my head. I'm ace at it. All boys are, but silly girls can't. I can, said Sakura. She hitched up her ornate robe and did a perfect handstand, legs together and her toes neatly pointed. She held it steady for several seconds, her face going pink, and then sprang gracefully to her feet. She clapped her hands and bowed. That was quite good, but mine was better, said Zeph. Now it's my turn to think of a dare. He whirled around and round for inspiration. He looked at the party table. I know, Pearl. I dare you to put your head in the bowl of trifle. Don't be ridiculous, Zeph. I'm not doing that, I said. Which is it going to be then, Pearl? Your T-shirt or your skirt, said Jodie. Now, then I don't think we need to go that far, said Dad. Choose another dare, Zeph. That was a daft one. No, it was a brilliant one, and I dare it, said Zeph, running to the table. Dad started running too, but he wasn't quite quick enough. Zeph plunged his head ear-deep into the trifle. Oh, Lordy, said Dad, seizing hold of him. Cream and custard and jelly lathered his curls and dripped down his forehead. He wiped his eyes, grinning. See, I did the dare, he spluttered. Dad picked him up sideways and ran with him kitchenwards. Stop the dare game this instant, he said. I believe it's my turn to choose a game, said Harley. Jodie sighed and rolled her eyes. Harley started explaining how to play countries. We all had to choose a country and stand on an imaginary world map. Then we had to whirl around while our earth went spinning. Then Harley shouted, earthquake in Japan or monsoon in India or whatever, and the affected country had to erupt accordingly. Mostly the countries were pitted against each other, but every so often Harley would just shout, attack by aliens, and then we'd all have to join hands and stand shoulder to shoulder. I'm sure it would have been a good game, but Jodie kept messing about and Zeph returned to us totally sluiced down, and Sakura and Dan kept forgetting which country they were, even though Harley made it easy enough for them. Zeph was Africa, Sakura Japan, and Dan Britain. The game fell apart without anyone winning. My turn to choose the game now, said Jodie. We'll play Murder in the Dark. Definitely not, said Mum, who had come back into the dining room with Miss Ponsonby to keep an eye on us. Dad was washing up in the kitchen, in disgrace for not keeping an eye on Dan. We've had enough of your silly games, Jodie. That's not fair, Mum. Murder in the Dark is a proper party game, Jodie argued. I think my children have gone a bit past party games, said Miss Ponsonby. I better see them back to their houses now. Jodie protested bitterly, but I was relieved. Harley sloped off too, carrying little Dan on his shoulders. Well, we'll still party, said Jodie, putting the music on loudly. She seized hold of me, and we danced up and down the dining room, round and round until we were dizzy. Good party, Pearl, Jodie yelled. This is the best bit, I panted. Just you and me. You funny girl, said Jodie, but she gave me a hug.